Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for being with us on a short edition of a Friday program right here on JJ and Alex. Yes, we will be taken over by Jazz basketball. Jazz versus the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis today. Your pregame is going to start up at 4 o'clock, so stay dialed in for that. JJ, we're back to playing games again. We're back to seeing the Olympics has had us for a while, and of course the gold medal game, which looks like
over.
Yeah, but you know what? Looks like Team USA and Team Canada are going to be firing it up against each other on Sunday. You know what that means? Must-watch television for the Olympics on that final day of the Olympics. It's awesome. USA right now up 5-0 on Slovakia, and I don't think they'll relinquish. JJ, I mean, I don't want to, you know.
It's not over yet, folks.
I know. If I
folks in
jinxed
Slovakia, don't give up yet.
it'd be different if it was 2-0 and I said that.
Yeah.
5-0. If Slovakia came back and won, it's not my fault. It's these guys' fault. Okay. With a 2-goal lead, maybe. 5-goal lead, not my problem.
Yeah.
Okay? You guys wrap it up. But, yeah, you got a USA-Canada matchup, it looks like, in the gold medal game. And you've got NBA basketball. The Jazz are back in action, of course. I started to get NBA alerts on my phone last night. I was like, this feels normal. This feels like a normal day. But more importantly, I was in my car, and my phone dinged while I was picking up or dropping off my kids at school. Phone dings, and I look, and it was all... And it gave me an alert that the Mariners were playing a game today at spring training against the Padres. Split squad.
Love it.
Spring training, baby. That's where we're at.
We've reached that point in the calendar,
I
which
know.
is exciting.
It's crazy. So we're back at it. Hockey, of course, will join the fray next week officially with the Utah Mammoth coming back. But we got to kick things off right here. Let's get it going. Let's talk about the tank because we brought up some issues that the league is trying to throw out there, some of the solutions that they might throw out there. And this is interesting because these are the ways that those solutions actually will not work. But we'll talk about it. Let's jump in right here. It's The Cut, top of the program.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, so as we dive in here, it's interesting because I don't know if the with all the things that are going on and all the stuff that could be going out, as basketball fires back up again, I'm just waiting to see what ways the Jazz could still get in trouble. I think that I think they might be out of the woods here. Half of the problem was the Jaren Jackson Jr., and you don't have to worry about him the rest of the year, right?
Keontae George has a legitimate injury.
Yeah, and it was, when he got it the first time, you're like, ooh, that looked bad. And then when it happened the second time, you were like, that is terrible. So you want those guys to be okay. Got it. What you don't have is I just don't know how they're going to do it. The Washington Wizards the other night sat their their best 5 players. Now, I was telling Napolis this. I was like, they can get away with it because nobody on that team's any good. And I said the new norm should be you should make a goal to be good enough in the NBA that if you come off the court, your team gets fined because you're just so good. If you come off the court and you don't get fined, you're like, I got pulled early. They go, yeah, no, you deserved it. No, you didn't need to be in the game. So now that we have these rule changes that are going to come into effect, and we don't even know what those rule changes are going to be, the potential rule changes that we talked about, all the stuff from yesterday, to me, the problems with the potential solutions are as many as there are. The thing that I got out of this article, JJ, is that there is no perfect solution. There never will be. There's never a way for you to be able to fix this thing. And changing protections on the first-round picks, lottery odds freezing at the trade deadline or later in the season. We like the no top 4 picks in consecutive years or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. What was the other one that we were kind of we were okay with?
The top 4 picks. You can't make the top four pick right after
you make the conference finals. Yeah, okay, so
the Mavericks had it last year. The Pacers are trying to do that this year.
The thing is, and this is why, and we liked that one. Out of all the solutions, we liked it pretty well. We're like, okay, we can try to figure that out. Yeah, they should not get a number 2 pick. But the thing about the Warriors, the Mavericks, Last year, they give the 2020 Warriors as an example.
They already
the
they got the number
Mavericks.
2 pick after winning the finals because
Right.
Kevin Durant tore his Achilles and Klay Thompson tore his ACL.
Right now, that number 2 pick was James Wiseman. So
They just blew it. They just made the wrong pick, but they had the opportunity to make the right pick.
that's why people forget it because they're like, oh yeah, no, that's their problem. They picked the wrong guy. The Pacers, of course, Achilles blown out by Tyrese Halliburton. That guy is beyond the most important guy on the team, and the 2025 Mavericks, of course, who you got Luka that was out the door. Anthony Davis gets hurt. Max Christie. And then, of course, Kyrie Irving tears his ACL. And then this year they even say he's not coming back. So what is the way that we can look at these and actually see that it could do something to change the game? And what ones do you think that because they have to take into account what the owners want. It's going to be what the owners want.
Right.
Not the GMs. The owners are the ones who are going to come in here and they're going to have the ultimate say because it's their product. It's their product, and the commissioner works for them. And I know the competition company is going to try to get all sorts of input, but where is the reality on a solution if you can poke holes in all of the current possible fixes that are out there?
They all have problems. Each idea has a problem. Now, my favorite one is if you have a top 4 pick one year, you can't have another one the next.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense because you understand teams need to get there to get those guys. But if you keep blowing it and you get the wrong picks and you're in it every year like the Washington Wizards, like why do you get to keep going to the well?
So where do you think it would be the cutoff? Like what would be the one where you can't allow them to go above 8,
Top 4.
10? Okay, just top 4. Okay.
Because typically in most drafts, the franchise-altering, changing guy is available in those top 4 spots. In a deep draft, which is rare, even last year's draft, I guess you could argue that it went beyond that. The Jazz got Ace Bailey at 5, and Ace Bailey was considered an elite,
Lots of names,
all-star potential prospect. And I think a couple guys that were taken after that were as well. Last year was a great draft. This year, I've
Even
talked to
deeper.
draft experts, 8-9 guys deep, of guys that can change your franchise. So there are years like that, but for the most part, punishing teams that are year in and year out in the lottery would be good because you need to circulate who gets those opportunities. So I think that's the one I like the most. But even that has issues because that also if a team is trying to build slowly, not every draft is great. Not every draft is going to deliver that franchise-changing player to you. So just by nature, you're going to be struggling. And why prevent you from winning or getting the opportunity when other teams get that? Like if you're the Wizards or the Jazz, how frustrating was it watching the Spurs jump up in the top 4, or the 76ers jump up in the top 4? It was very frustrating because the Sixers needed a top 3 pick. The Sixers needed VJ Edgecombe. Come on. The Spurs needed another guy to pair with Victor Wembanyama. They got the perfect point guard to go. Come on. That's the frustration, and that came from flattening the lottery odds, which was a terrible decision. It used to be that if you were one of the top 4 bottom teams, you had like a 20 to 25% chance to win the lottery. It's not even close to that anymore.
Yeah, and I think that the flattening the odds again was also another solution that they put out there.
What are we doing? Like, just get rid of the lottery altogether if you're going to continue to flatten the odds.
Yeah, and that won't be an option. That will not be one of the solutions going forward by the ownership.
Teams winning the lottery the last few years have had terrible odds. The Hawks had the worst odds and they won the lottery. The Mavs last year had only the 9th best chances. And they jump up and win it. And 3 of the top 4 teams were teams that jumped to the top of the lottery. The lottery system itself is not working.
But you had all those teams, JJ, who moved up.
Yeah.
And you had teams who need a break. You know what I mean? And the Jazz are one of them. The solution is already built into it. Other teams jumping, like not having the guarantee of getting that number 1 pick because you're the absolute worst. Not having that guarantee, that should be the thing that warts off. It still hasn't gotten teams to make any adjustments on the tanking situation.
Right.
So, I mean, after getting burned and after getting burned and after getting burned, the GM still come back and go, it's still the best way to do it. It's still the best thing. We're just going to keep losing games. And so it's set up to try to make it to where people don't want to do it. And yet, even in years that the Jazz picked 5th, in a year that they were that was one of the worst teams we've ever seen here, if not the worst. Yeah. And they don't even get near the top They're not even in the top 4.
Yeah.
They get a number 5 pick, and then everybody goes, "Okay, I think Ice Man is pretty good."
All that suffering for what?
Nothing. I mean, it.
And the league
and then you come back and do it again.
That's how we deter tanking. It clearly didn't. That clearly isn't enough. The only one on this list I think that's even makes any sense is getting rid of protections altogether. Now, if the league just got rid of protections altogether, the Jazz would already know that their pick is gone. It now belongs to the Thunder. And at that point, they're definitely not incentivized to tank because they don't want to give the Thunder a top 4 pick.
Right, but
you try to make the playoffs.
But they would also probably lose the vast majority of their games even if that were the case. If the Jazz were not playing for not conveying that pick to the Thunder. Right? How good would this team be? How many wins would they have?
They'd be in the play-in situation.
I don't think so.
You don't
think think so. No.
With the amount of teams that are tanking?
I just don't think.
I'll look at the standings.
I just don't think it would happen. Just based off of the fact that Keontae George's injury is legit. Jaren Jackson Jr. just had surgery. Walker Kessler's out this year.
Well, you add all that into it.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Considering this season, this 18-win team right now.
They'd probably be on the outside looking in. The Portland Trailblazers are in 10th at 27-29. That's a team that's right around 500.
So if they could have won 8 more, you think they could have won 8 or 9 more games?
Now that I'm looking at it,
it'd be tough to do.
Not.
It'd be tough to do.
Probably not.
Yeah, so when you say that, then what was the difference of tanking versus not tanking? It's the same. Basically.
It's not the same this year because you've got to keep that pick.
And
that's
100%,
my point. Is if they
100%.
had already gotten rid of it, then yeah. But
I'm just saying they're
the protection is the reason why the Jazz are doing what they're doing.
I get it. And if you take away those protections, then the year starts totally different. You have a totally different view as to how this thing could go.
Right.
And so maybe if you do start out the season the way that they did, but if that were the case too, do they end up getting Jaren Jackson Jr. if they're a 30-win team by the time they get to the All-Star break? You know, I mean, that it's interesting to see because you don't make the moves that you do necessarily, or maybe you make more moves because you don't have a pick. Your pick is gone in the first round.
Right.
So it has to make you adjust in a lot of different ways. I don't know if there's never going to be a perfect solution because we can't go back and do it again.
I think we agree, though, that whatever these things are they're going to try to do aren't going to help.
No.
Until you change how teams are built and how you can build a championship roster in the NBA, I don't think you can do anything about tanking. I don't know what you can do. I mean, what's the solution at that? There's no solutions here. The only way to get better is to try to get that superstar player right out of college that you can grow and develop. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, if you're the Jazz, how do you become a championship team? Let's look at the contenders. And how did they do it? How did the Thunder get there?
By this model. How did the Pistons do it?
By trade
by this
and
model.
by tanking.
Yes.
Okay, how'd the Spurs do it? Tanking.
They're legendary. I know we give that legendary status to the Kings, but they never turn it into anything. The Spurs have turned around and made championships happen out of trash years that they planned on having.
Best team in the East, the Detroit Pistons. How did they build that?
And they did it quickly. And
they were master tankers.
And you know what they did?
And they got burned.
And you know what they did?
How many times did they not win the lottery?
I know, for sure. But you know what they did? It turned around for them. Whatever they built, I mean, obviously you get Cade Cunningham. That helps in the process, right? You're talking about franchise-changing guy.
Yeah.
That's him. And so you have the Pistons, and you look at the Pistons, and guess what? They were trying their freaking hardest to win games and to be the best team in the East, and here they are. It worked.
Yep.
And so that's why coaches still go after it, because their line wasn't perfect of the tank. It was pretty bad sometimes. They had ups and downs with that. But they were bad, and then they went from the 13 wins the year before, and they were like 48 or whatever it was last year. And this year they're going to probably be the team with the best record in the whole league. So they did it, and it worked. And they got it out of it as soon as they could because they don't like the losing. They want to win.
The teams at the top of the standings on both sides, Eastern and Western Conference, got there through tanking. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
You can argue the Knicks didn't. The signing of Jalen Brunson vaulted them ahead, but how many years were they bad? How many years were the Knicks bad? The Cavaliers. It's a combination of things. It was a combination of tanking and the Donovan Mitchell trade that vaulted them ahead, and now they're Now they're all in on making a trade for James Harden, et cetera. But they used Darius Garland, a lottery pick, to get James Harden.
Did you?
The Raptors also tanking. Sixers, obviously.
For sure. And then now, I mean, what does a team like the Grizzlies, who the Jazz play tonight, who are 2 wins ahead of the Jazz?
They tanked to get Ja Morant. And now they're going to have to do it again.
And they might start tanking right now, tonight. Both these teams looking at each other going, what are we doing here?
Yeah. It's just the way.
They have their 2 wins. I forgot about this. They have 2 more wins than Utah.
Right.
You give it a week, they could be right below Utah again. And then it starts to get sticky because then they'd be in the 7th spot, right? Yeah. 7th worst. Nobody wants that.
That makes you nervous.
All right. I just wish that there were not just a solution that, I mean, teams, I wish people would understand it. When Matt Ishbia said it yesterday, or said the quote about losers news for losers, you loser, whatever he said, the bottom line on that is that these teams don't want to be that. They don't want to be losers. Obviously, you're going to have bad teams every year. You're going to have great teams every year. You only have one champion. It's not going to be the Suns, certainly. It's not going to be a lot of these. Most of these teams will never sniff the finals, the conference finals in coming years. So you've got to just figure it out. The league should be excited about those bad teams being bad so they can get good.
Somebody's got to be bad. Not everybody can win. That's how it works.
Of course.
There's going to be a 30th place team in a 30-team league. How does that 30th place team get better? This is the system they have in place. So until you change the system, I don't even think the lottery is the problem. I think the system of how you acquire the top talent is the issue here in a league where one player makes so much difference.
Okay, I think we solved it. Just leave it.
Just leave it.
It's already ruined. Okay? It's not a good system, but these aren't going to make it any better either. So just stay. Stop doing the going back and forth. Don't just say you're going to have a rule change and then not have an idea. We have 12 ideas. Well, then how are you going to change the rule?
And none of them are going to fix it.
And none of them are going to be agreed on. There's going to be somebody with a problem. All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, hey, guess what? Mitch Harper, our BYU insider for KSLSports.com. The Cougs in Arizona on Wednesday take a loss there. First game without Richie Saunders. They come back home against a very good Iowa State team tomorrow. If they lose to Iowa State tomorrow, they will be 1-7 against top 25 teams this year. Very stark difference from that team that was the fiery upstart that you saw get to the Sweet 16. And then you have this season that had all the expectations. We'll talk to Mitch about what has been going on with this team and the attitude for KY's guys. Stay with us. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. About 25 minutes away from a Jazz pregame starting up against this Memphis Grizzlies team in Memphis as the Jazz fire back up. First game back from the break. We'll see how this one shakes out for them. That's a 4 o'clock pregame, 5 o'clock tip right here on the KSL Sports Zone. In the meantime, I want to remind you, you can always go into KSLSports.com/contests and nominate for yourself a person who does an awesome job with the youth sports in your neck of the woods. And you want to honor that team mom. What about that team assistant? What about that offensive coordinator that's never been paid a dime for dedicating his afternoons to your Pee Wee football team? Look, whoever it might be, just dial it up on KSLSports.com/contest, and we'll get you that nomination. We read those winners off every week, and then they get $250 courtesy of Beehive Meals, as it is the KSL Sports and Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Joining us on the program right now, he's the BYU insider for KSLSports.com. He's Mitch Harper. Mitch, how's it going, man?
Hey, good, Alex. Happy to be on, man.
Sorry about double dipping here. I know it was a long day, but we're just going to talk about.
You must be exhausted. All that barbecue you just had to eat.
I know. Did you guys have a heyday at that place? You've done that with me there. I've taken you to one of those remotes.
I've got brisket and ribs in front of me, and we were all the sides. Kenny took care of us.
Come on.
we are enjoying some good fixins right now.
I love it. Well, and we're not going to go football. We'll just do the basketball thing right now. And so you don't have to rank anything right now, but where BYU is right now is a dark spot. They're 1-6 against top 25 teams this year. They're also their first game back against Arizona. A lot of fight and a lot more defense, I think, that we've seen in a couple other games, but not enough, obviously, to get past one of the best teams in the country. Iowa State tomorrow in Provo. How does BYU get back into the swing of things here? Because they need to find a groove with a totally different lineup.
Well, I think tomorrow they need at least 60, 65 points from A.J. DeBonsa and Rob Wright. I feel confident that they're going to get at least 30 from A.J. I think, Rob Wright's got to step up his production because against Arizona, I thought a little bit of a dip compared to what he was doing the previous week. And they just need him to get at least 25 to 30 points. I mean, that's what it is right now for BYU. I thought there were some, improved play from Kennard Davis and Keba Keita, which is promising. But, you hate to be in this spot for BYU to try to reinvent yourself, late February. You'd rather this be November or late November rather than late February. So it's a difficult spot for BYU to be in. I think that there were some signs, though, that this team can spring an upset or two down the stretch here. And tomorrow is the last real signature win opportunity for BYU if they want to start to maybe climb the seed line because, BYU's staring down a situation where, they could drop a seed because of the absence of Richie Saunders. If the committee sees BYU struggling against Iowa State tomorrow, they could use this and say, you know what, this is not as high level of a team as they once were in the beginning of the season. Look at the Arizona game, look at the Iowa State game as case in point. So BYU's got to show well. And I thought they showed pretty well against the Arizona, but, tomorrow's a big opportunity and they need some big performances from obviously the big two, but maybe some unexpected performances from someone we're not talking about to really step up to be that third wheel tomorrow, at least on the offensive end.
Even before the Richie injury, depth was a problem for this team. And, the injuries have been used as an excuse. But honestly, there's enough guys on this team and enough guys they brought in. It feels like somebody should be able to step up. How fair is the criticism about their roster construction? Did they put too much at the very top? You look at a team like Arizona's, and you're looking at an Iowa State team that has depth. Do they need to correct the way they build their roster at BYU in this new NIL era?
I don't think so, JJ. I think that BYU got talented guys. I think they just maybe misevaluated or used guys incorrectly. Kennard Davis was, a dominant player for Southern Illinois last year. He was a number one guy, and he got then asked to be just, a spot-up shooter, a 3-and-D guys, maybe a fourth wheel. It's just like a different mindset. And I think that's been a real big adjustment from going from being the guy to now just a guy. And so that's been adjustment. I think that if he can kind of, have some sets designed for him, I think that could get his confidence going a little bit more. Even someone like a Dominique Diomande, very talented, but just hasn't even had really any minutes or any run to the point where he doesn't play even with, a pressing need for some defense. He hasn't played. So maybe it's been a case of misevaluation. Maybe it's been a situation where he's just not ready for this level of play in the Big 12, only his second year in college basketball. So maybe a combination of misevaluations on some guys. And I think Kevin Young's still kind of trying to figure out how to build rosters for a college basketball team. But I thought it was a good recipe, what they built this year. I think one of the big issues, though, that they did have in roster construction was maybe not enough, ball handlers to, along with Rob Wright. Yes, they have A.J. DeBonsa to be the de facto point guard to give Rob Wright any sort of breather. Even when he's on the court, A.J. can serve as the point guard. But there was no real backup option other than Nate Pickens. When he went down, he was gone. And last year, that was a nice luxury where they had Yegor Dioman and then Dallin Hall to come off the bench. They don't have any sort of luxury there where there's it's just a second guy that if someone's got an off night, you can turn to this other point guard for BYU. So I think emphasizing the importance of ball handling will be important. And Baker's absence, too, was another big one because he could have been another ball handler for this group. So they've had a lot of key injuries, and it's definitely not an excuse. But I still think the talent and the personnel has been there. It's just these guys almost to the point now where it's like they just kind of leaned on the big three, and now you're late in February needing to, again, change things up and get more from these other guys, and they're just not used to it, and they don't know if they have the confidence night in, night out that they can deliver every single game. But they got to hope that it happens because there are talented guys. I think Kennard Davis, I think that Hadim Boop, talent, but just haven't consistently got it enough from these role players to make you feel good every single night going forward.
Mitch, we were talking the roster construction stuff. I think we talked about it quite a bit this week because it's easy to look now and go, well, you're just top heavy. Look how good these guys are, and you haven't gotten enough help. The bench scoring we talked about yesterday, they're 351st, I think, in the entire nation. At this point last year, they were 15th. So obviously there's that, and maybe some of the misevaluation things you're talking about. But so then, does the idea change even more? Like I know people talk about how much money is at the top here, but at the same time, like everybody knows you have to have depth. Kevin Young's not, he's not. Right. That's not something he doesn't know either. And so, how do you do it knowing that people are the intensity and the pressure on that guy is just insane right now?
Yeah, well, I think Kevin Young's the right man for BYU. I think he's done a fantastic job, and there's no doubt he's going to build really good rosters going forward. I mean, BYU is going to be in the mix for talented guys every single year that he's, part of the program. I mean, and I just think, again, going back to the maybe misevaluations, you look going into the year at a guy like Tyler Moroz coming in from Idaho as a sharpshooter to maybe fill that Trevin Nell role. He hasn't even really sniffed the court. And, and he's a liability on the defensive end. That was just a misread where you kind of went into the season thinking he's going to get you, 2 3-pointers a night maybe. And that just hasn't even been a thing to where they don't have that. And when you've got A.J. DeBonsa, who is a willing passer, and early in the season, he was willing to do the whole spread it out. I remember that opener against Villanova. It was almost like, A.J., take this thing over. They need you to take over. He was willing to facilitate, but they just don't have guys that are knocking down shots consistently for this team. And, it's always interesting to me when you look back at like the exhibition games, and they had some poor shooting performances against even a high caliber team like North Carolina and Nebraska. And you thought, well, it's just maybe some off night shootings, but that's kind of what it's been for BYU. They've had some games where they've knocked it down at a high clip and, hit, 12, 13 threes in a game, but it's just not consistent enough. And when you have a passer like A.J. DeBonsa and Rob Wright, you need to surround those guys with excellent shooting. They don't have that consistently, so then you turn to just A.J. and Rob Wright, and when Richie was on the floor, you turn to those guys, and they're going to carry the day every single possession, and their usage rates are going to be off the charts. So now it's like you look at the roster and think it was just leaning into those guys when really the pieces look to be there. It just hasn't materialized on the floor because just guys haven't lived up to what they were expected to do. And that's where they had to just lean heavily on a guy that will deliver. And that's A.J. DeBonsa, who's lived up to, I think, every dollar that he's been thrown his way. I mean, every single night he brings it. He's available. And I think that he's looked like the number one pick throughout this season for BYU.
With all that and the frustration and everything going on, BYU can make a big statement on Saturday with the number 6 team in the country at the Marriott Center. Iowa State is an incredible team, but they also don't have that. I mean, the best player on the floor is going to be A.J. DeBonsa, right? So what does BYU have to do to take advantage of this opportunity to get a win against a national championship contender like Iowa State?
I think BYU defensively got to have one of their best games and maybe – to steal a KY term, kind of get them stuck in mud. They like to spread it out, kind of like BYU did last year. They rely heavily on ball movement. I mean, there'll be games in Big 12 play where Iowa State's had, 27 assists in a game. They spread that thing around. If you can get them into, maybe a little bit of ISO ball, which BYU's really good at, that's not Iowa State. They don't have that. They spread that thing around. And so if you can get them forcing some ill-advised shots, that's where BYU could have some success. And Kevin Young last year did a brilliant job, against TJ Otzelberger's teams, winning in Ames and in Kansas City. But this is a much tougher challenge. I think this is the best Iowa State team that BYU is going to face since BYU joined the Big 12. They're really balanced. And, Joshua Jefferson, he might be the Big 12 player of the year, just how balanced he is in all the statistical categories. Points, rebounds, assists, steals. He does it all. And, Taman Lipson and Milan Momcilovic, best shooter in the country. I mean, he's knocking it down at about 50% from beyond the arc. You can't let him go off from three. The common thread in all of their 3 losses this year, they've had less than 10 made three-pointers. I think you got to keep them around, 7 to 9 three-pointers made at the high end. If you could keep that lower, BYU will have a shot. I think BYU will be in this game. I always like BYU's chances in the Marriott Center. That's always a spot where BYU kind of thrives, but they have not been good as an underdog. They're winless this year as an underdog in games, and they'll go into this one as an underdog. But I think BYU could spring the upset here. They match up personnel-wise pretty well with Iowa State because I think Iowa State just doesn't have anyone to the level of AJ and, Rob Wright. I mean, Taman Lipsey's really good at getting in passing lanes and generating turnovers. But I think Rob Wright, if he can kind of be a little bit slippery, get into that paint and finish around the rim, this could be a game where BYU's right there at the under 4 and has a chance to win it. They need it because, again, this could give them a chance to maybe jump into that 5 seed territory because right now it's anywhere between 6 and 7 on the seeds and the brackets. And that's just not a recipe to get to the second week, and you got to start climbing up those seeds possibly. Yeah.
Mitch Harper, BYU Insider for KSLSports.com. Anything that comes down the pipe that's BYU related, Mitch Harper can be relied on for the best version of it. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a big one on Saturday at the Marriott Center, and a couple more games left at the Marriott Center this year. 3 out of the next 5 are going to be at home, so they have a little bit of that home advantage. Mitch Harper, appreciate it, man. Safe travels from the barbecue place. You might fall asleep on the way home from the meat.
Don't drive home drowsy.
Thanks, JJ and Alex.
You might pull over with the meat sweats.
There you go. Mitch Harper. We've all suffered from the meat sweats. It's like,
don't call it suffering.
Talk to your doctor.
We've all enjoyed the meat sweats.
Hey, University of Utah Health brings you this portion of the program. University of Utah Health. Hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uvuhealth.org. University of Utah Health, for you, for life. Taking a break. We'll get you ready for Jazz basketball next. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time! All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. That music, of course, it's not just empty music. It never would be with John Tesh, by the way. But we've got Jazz basketball coming up right around the corner here, so stay tuned in. This week's big Win Ticket Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone is going to be this weekend. Stained Break the Cycle, the 25th anniversary tour featuring Seether and special guests Hoobastank, Hinder, all at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on October 7th. On sale now at livenation.com. You could win them all day on our station, though. JJ. How's this one go for the Jazz? They've got this one. They've got the obviously no key. The usual suspects are out. Lauri Markkanen now also out with an illness. So they can roll out this very, 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 very young group.
Yeah, and that's what they'll do. And it'll all depend on how the youngsters do. Does Bryce Sensabaugh go off for 30-something points? We don't know. And that's why this Jazz team's interesting, is because they won at Miami when we didn't think they would. Are the Jazz wanting to win this game? Absolutely not. Do the Memphis Grizzlies want to win this game?
No.
Absolutely not. So, I don't know, flip a coin, man. Which young player wants to go out there and basically give a middle finger to management of both teams? We'll find out. That's the fun of it.
It's like, on Incredibles where the kid's running at the end and he's winning the race and the parents are like, slow down. We don't want to do it too good. Come on, man. That's where we're at on this one. All right, Jazz and Memphis tonight. Yeah, Utah and Memphis tonight from Memphis. You're going to get it all right here, so stay tuned. Basketball is back, everybody. And, of course, you can hear it right here. Jake Scott and the coach will have the pregame, and then you'll have the call with of course, David Locke and Ron Boone. All right, we'll take the break here. Remind you also to stay tuned all weekend long right here on the KSL Sports Zone.